Welcome to The Dream Show. I'm Jane Teresa Anderson, and this is episode 299. So I've just finished recording the conversation with my guest, children's author and creative director, Ryn MacDonald. And Ryn is a Brisbane-based creative director, children's author and single mum. And her debut picture book, It's Not Because of Me, helps young children understand that they are never to blame for their parents' separation or divorce. And drawing from personal experience and grounded in child psychology, Ryn has written a gentle, empowering story that helps families navigate big feelings with warmth, honesty, and a touch of humour. And alongside being an author, she's the director of a marketing agency specialising in food and has spent nearly 2 decades creating food brands for leading Australian and international food companies. And first up in our conversation today, Ryn shares her dream. I always ask our guests to tell me nothing at all about their dream until we begin recording, and that way you get to experience how we approach a dream sight unseen. So we go through her dream and then we naturally flow the conversation from there. We begin talking about Ryn's work as a creative director and how she works and how she creates stories in her business, dealing with creating food brands. And then we go from there into her parenting journey, her separation, and what her little child said to her when she was only 4 years old. That was the trigger for the idea for this book, It's Not Because of Me. And as you'll hear, Ryn has spent about 6 years developing this idea and has just published this book, and which is really very good. It's lovely, and has also already embarked on writing several more books in the same genre. So you'll hear all about that, but before we go to our conversation, a reminder of my website, which is janeteresa.com, and that's Teresa without an H, where you can find out about my dream resources, services, books, and courses. And at the end of our chat, we share Ryn's contact details, including where to get hold of her book, and these are also in the show notes. So let's go now to Ryn. Welcome to the Dream Show, Ryn.
Thank you for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. And you're in Brisbane, Australia.
Yes, Brisbane, a little bit far away from you.
Yeah, I mean, our listeners can't see us, but we can see each other. And you're dressed in lovely summer clothes and looking quite warm.
Yes.
and I've got several layers on and I'm pretending that I'm quite comfortably warm. Same continent, completely different country, really, even though it's the same country.
Really? Exactly, yes.
So lovely to have you on my show. And as always, we start with a dream. And also, as always, I never have any idea what dream a guest is going to bring. So over to you.
Oh, gosh. Well, this was a little bit difficult for me because although I dream a lot, I don't tend to be able to remember my dreams. And so this was one from actually just 3 nights ago when before I went to bed, on your suggestion, I put out the intention that please give me a dream that I am going to remember. So it's very fresh and obviously something that's probably transpiring at the moment. But I was visiting an old friend from high school. And it's someone I haven't seen or spoken to since literally the day we finished school. So there's been no contact at all, zero contact. So I was going to her home, but it wasn't her home when she was a child that I would have been familiar with. It was her home now as an adult. And it was very small, but very inviting, although she wasn't welcoming, but the home was welcoming. So it felt really unfamiliar to me, but at the same time quite cozy. Everything was kind of bathed in a warm, glowing light. There was lots of old-fashioned quilted blankets thrown over the lounge and coloured rugs on the floor. So there was lots of colour and texture, and it was homely and nostalgic, but I was still very aware that I was a guest and I was quite separate to the space. So she's there and she knows I'm there, but we're not really interacting at all. And I stay in the lounge room, but she moves in and out of that space quietly, kind of detached from me, almost aloof. And at several points throughout, I feel like she's speaking to someone else in the house, but that all feels hazy to me. I'm not entirely sure what was going on there. But the part that's quite interesting is I had brought her a gift, and it was a very large jigsaw puzzle. And I decided that it would be a really good idea if I put it together for her and gave it to her rather than giving her the jigsaw in pieces. So it's not your usual kind of puzzle though. And it's kind of like fabric pieces they're soft and pliable, but they still click together. They still give you that satisfying click that a thick cardboard puzzle would give you when you put the pieces together. And they're all fitting together really easily. Everything's going really nicely. And she walks past me once or twice as I'm putting this together, and she's not really watching. She's not really engaging. But I can feel her presence and I can feel her in the periphery around me. But she's kind of indifferent, I guess. I'm almost done putting it together. And because it's fabric, it's kind of forming this blanket, I guess, over me as I'm making it, rather than a static cardboard jigsaw. And I'm almost done, and it hits me that maybe I shouldn't have done this. Maybe I shouldn't have put it together for her. Maybe she'd rather do it herself. maybe I've taken all the fun and discovery away from her, and maybe this was a terrible idea. So I decided to take it apart again. Only now I can't, because the fabric pieces have started to fuse together and they've kind of melted together into one another somehow. But when I touch the surface and I look at the surface, it's also no longer cloth, and it's turned into thin slices of raw beef, like carpaccio, but they've all meshed together in one large beef blanket. And I'm tugging at the pieces quite gently. You can imagine, like, raw, thin beef is quite pliable, but so I'm tugging, not wanting to break the pieces, but they're just not coming apart. So it's morphed into something entirely different, and I can't give her the puzzle and the gift as it was intended now. So I'm left holding and staring at this strange meat blanket creation in my arms. And it's kind of permanent and fleshy and really, really weird. And I look around the room and I'm really unsettled and I'm worried, because I'm like, eek, what will she think? And she walks back in, she sees what happens, and she's completely unbothered again by it. And I'm still worrying that I've ruined it. But then all of a sudden I become unbothered too, and I go, oh, well, doesn't really matter. And I just shrug it off, and I'm thinking, well, that's not ideal. But oh well. And that's it.
Do you think you felt like that because she felt like that? Unbothered at the end?
Maybe. Definitely maybe. Or I just decided that I can't do anything about it, so why am I worrying?
Yes.
I'm not sure.
It's really interesting that at the end it turns into a food picture, basically. Yeah, yes. And it probably didn't escape your noticing, yes. Given that we've just introduced you as a creative director working in food branding.
Yes, and we do a lot of work with red meat and beef in particular. So a lot of my days are filled with beef.
Yeah.
We do, I do a lot of food styling and photography where I'm literally prodding and poking raw beef for, 8 hours a day. So, yes.
So that part very strongly relates not only to your work as a creative director, but also to that sense that you've just said there of prodding and poking for maybe 8 hours just to get something that looks good at the end of it.
Yes.
It's not real food anymore, and putting the picture together, I guess, with your work, we'll talk about your work later, but it's putting together a picture, and with a jigsaw puzzle, you're putting together a picture that you thought was something else, but turned into this is actually like work. And maybe I shouldn't have done this.
Yes.
It's a fabulous dream. We'll start at the beginning. So it's an old high school friend that you haven't seen since back then.
Yes.
Was it female, male?
Female friend. And we had an odd relationship. So it was one where primary school we were quite close. And then I guess beginning mid-high school we were okay. But then towards year 11, 12, there was pretty much no friendship contact there. But we would still see each other in the halls.
Well, why did you drift apart?
I'm not entirely sure. I wonder whether it was just a personality clash. I tend to be quite shy and reserved, where she was more more out there, a little bit louder, perhaps. Yeah.
So as well as her being out there and louder, how else would you describe her personality-wise?
She was, I think she was probably perceived as the alpha. Whether she perceived herself as that or not, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
In a group of girls. She was the one that I always felt I needed to impress.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. But she was nice. She wasn't nasty or mean, or she wasn't a mean girl at all. But there was something where I felt I needed to justify my existence, maybe.
So it's nothing to do with her. It was all about you back then.
Probably.
There's something about me that I feel is inadequate and I need to impress her. Or if I want to be like her, I need to be impressive, or, I don't feel comfortable being shy, whatever it is. So it's interesting because everyone and everything in a dream, it's helpful to look at everyone and everything in a dream as an aspect of yourself. So with her in the dream, she would be a part of yourself that would be out there and expressive, and but that you probably tune into sometimes, like when you're at work or when you're dealing with clients, but she is not the kind of main part of yourself that you really feel comfortable with. She's sort of, you tuck her away. She's back there somewhere.
Yes, she only comes out sometimes. Yes.
That's right, yeah. And when she does come out, like in this dream, she's not really too sure about who this Ryn person is. Yeah. She's a bit nonchalant. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the dream, you said she wasn't in her childhood home, she was in her home. Do you mean like her home that you know about today, or was it a dream home?
A dream home.
A dream home.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I can't imagine her living in a home like this. It was quite cottagey, and yes, it was almost something you'd see in a movie. Everything over the top, cottagey, old fashioned. Yeah. I can't imagine her living in that.
And where are you with respect to that kind of style?
Oh, that's not my style at all. I'm more minimalist, contemporary, but still earthy. So I use a lot of wood and texture and things like that.
So she had texture in her home, and she had warmth, which would be in alignment with what you described there. But she had a lot of old-fashioned stuff and lots of stuff, from what you're saying. Yeah.
Yes. Whereas I pare back on everything.
Yeah. Was she comfortable in her home in the dream? She wasn't comfortable with you, but
no,
was she comfortable with her home?
Yes, I think she was, because she was kind of moving through it. There was definitely a sense of ownership that she had with the space, and I felt her ownership of the space. So yes, I would say that she was comfortable. She was comfortable.
So she was comfortable with a not minimalist space. You like minimalist. This was not minimalist. It had lots and lots of stuff in it, and lots of stuff that was slightly old-fashioned or referenced the past rather than the future, and was kind of homely. Yeah. So if I asked you why, you might not be able to answer this. I don't know if anybody can answer this, but do you know why you prefer a minimalist taste?
Yes. I think I do. Oh, Jane. Life is crazy. And I think keeping things minimal helps me keep control, where everything has its place. I don't have to run around looking for things. I don't waste time looking for things. I know where everything is.
Yeah.
I guess it helps me feel calm.
Yes.
Because because I know where everything is and everything's at my fingertips.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in this dream, you're in a different space where the space possibly doesn't make you feel as calm, and it's a space where, well, you're not in control because in the dream it's perceived as her space, not yours. But yes. a space where, you're not calm and in control, and in fact, you appear as relatively calm in the dream and in control, but everything that you do in the dream is trying to make her feel comfortable, to give her the gift, rather than to make yourself feel comfortable.
Yes. Yes, I agree. I'm trying to, again, do something for her or for someone else.
Yeah.
And I'm second guessing what they would prefer. So thinking what they want rather than what
you want.
I would like to give, or what I want, I guess.
Yeah. Is there an area of your life at the time of the dream that felt like it might be a little bit out of control, or felt like it might have too much stuff in it?
Yes. And that's the general state of play, really. Particularly at the moment, I think, because the dream was only 3 days ago, we're coming towards the end of the year and everything speeds up more so at the end of the year. I think there's a lot. I'm juggling everything. So
yes.
Work, child, extracurriculars, school performances, social life. Yeah, everyone's the same. But
totally.
It's yes. In that situation, yes, there's a lot going on at the moment.
Yeah, and although you are valiantly stepping up and ticking all those boxes and doing all those things, there'd be a part of yourself that wish the end of the year was a bit more minimalist, probably.
Yes, please.
Not quite so calm.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a lovely feeling at the beginning of the dream that her place is small,
yes.
but it is inviting. So to some extent, even though it's not your preferred kind of style, there's something that's inviting about it. What would you say that was when you look back on the dream? It wasn't her, but...
Not her, definitely not her. Her space felt like a bit of a warm hug, I think. It, because it was so small and contained, and the things that were in there were almost like something that your grandmother would have, like, the lounges, the old-fashioned lounges that were quite curved and squishy, and colourful crocheted blankets, and, where they used to throw them over the back of
yes,
the lounges, sofas. And so something felt quite... I feel like a warm hug, and contained as well because it was so small.
A warm hug, the contained bit would fit with you wanting to be sort of calm and know where everything is. The warm hug is good. The sort of reference to grandmothers. Did you have a warm hugging grandmother, or a sense of history, or not?
One of my grandmothers was a warm hugging grandmother. The other, not so much. No, the other one would, in the farmhouse, would lock the doors in the hallway so we couldn't get out to the kitchen until she was ready to see us.
Oh no! So you had to remember which grandmother's house you were at whenever you went visiting.
Yes. So, but one was definitely very much so.
So you did, between the two grandmothers, you did actually appreciate the kind of throw everything out and warm hugs and not having to follow the rules and not having to be locked out the kitchen. You enjoyed that.
Yes.
Yeah. So sometimes there can be an element when we're living a pretty zen life sometimes, and for all good reasons, to stay calm and in control when there's so much going on. Maybe sometimes we just need to have a little bit of that extra stuff going on to not feel like we're the grandmother with the closed kitchen door, to maybe a little bit of that warmth in. I can have this minimalist space, and sometimes I don't want a lot in here, but maybe just sometimes I could let a little bit of warmth in, or a bit of that feeling that I had as a child with that grandmother. There's also the feeling with the grandmother you're referencing, given that you're a children's author, you're referencing the matriarchal line, and what parents and grandparents do for children. So there's some kind of letting in, or desire to let in, of a inviting warm hug. At this time of year, probably the person that needs that most is you.
I do feel like I need one at the moment, to be completely honest.
Yes.
Yes, I do.
So we've got that in the dream, that I would really like to have a warm hug, but I don't want all the other stuff that goes with it. And I'm a bit worried.
You've nailed it. Oh my gosh, yes.
And that can apply on all levels of our life, all levels of our life. And the fact that one of the things that could go with that is represented by this old friend as well. And she's kind of like, really not that bothered about you. She's a bit cool. Yeah, she's a bit, you need to impress her. She's not shy. So there's part of you thinking, if I wanted to have the warm hug, but not all the other stuff, how can I have the warm hug without having to be out there and, making a big, impressing people, or being impressive.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you can relate to this, which is really lovely.
Yeah.
And then, so then we ask about the jigsaw puzzle. And
Yes.
I love that. Here's a jigsaw puzzle. I'll just do it for you.
I'm thinking.
Did it feel easy doing it, or did you enjoy doing it at all? Yeah.
I did. It was as I was doing it, I was thinking, number one, oh, she'll really appreciate me putting this together for her. But then as I was doing it, it was just clicking together almost effortlessly. I knew exactly where all the pieces were going. I wasn't, when you're doing a jigsaw, sometimes you have to try 100 pieces to get the one that fits. It wasn't like that. It was, I'd pick up a piece and it would fit. I'd pick up the next piece.
That's
and it
wonderful.
would fit.
So it's almost like at some level you have a big picture in your mind that you would like to create, and you're surprised how easily it's going together. And particularly you said clicking together. So, this is looking at life now, maybe thinking, oh, I thought that might be quite hard, but actually things are clicking into place in my life. Things are clicking into place, or I can imagine them clicking into place. This is all much easier than I feared that it might be. But it's also around the idea in the dream of wanting to impress her. So, how it's some area of my life where I need to impress, and that might be your book. I mean, we all know what it's like to be a first author. But there's some area in my life where I want to impress, and somehow, it's been a bit of a puzzle, but somehow, all these, I can see all the pieces going together and things are beginning to click together. And I'm quite excited about this until, unfortunately, I mean, it goes through some wonderful phases. It morphs, it changes almost into a blanket that keeps you warm again, warm and inviting. And then it becomes just like your other work, all those slices of beef.
Taunting me, not doing what they're meant to be doing.
Yeah. So there's kind of, there may or may not be a theme here of I'm doing something new, and it may be work, it may be a book, it may be some other area of your life that I really, wanting to let go of control just a tiny, weeny amount to let in some warm hug kind of feeling. And amazingly, I can see how it's all can fit together and click together, and I'm feeling good about that. But my real worry is that this is going to turn out to be a lot of work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And turn out.
I was going to say with the book, as much effort and love and everything as that you put into creating something, that really is the easy part when it comes to, the rest that needs to be done, the sales and marketing and everything else that goes along with it. So yes, it is turning into be a lot of work.
Would you say that friend would be a sales and marketing kind of person with her personality?
Yeah, yes, probably.
Yeah.
I don't know what she does, but potentially.
Could she potentially be the part of yourself that could get up and do the sales and marketing quite happily?
Maybe because of that extroverted, she's more extroverted potentially. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. But at the end of the dream, you decided, maybe I'm doing the wrong thing. I'm just looking at my notes that I took. I need to take it apart. Where do you think, given that you've got a sort of idea how this fits in with your life now, where can you see this idea of, gosh, everything's beginning to click together and I can see the big picture and this is really good. This is really great. I can be quite impressive with this. Oh my God, am I doing the wrong thing? I think I just want to take it apart again. Where do you think that might fit in?
There's a couple of things that I can think of. In relation to the book, I guess it's the second guessing of, is it good enough?
Yeah.
Maybe I should start all over again, which is crazy. But then in work, I have had a situation this week to do with beef where a job needs to be done again. So because I'm not happy with it.
Yes.
Not that the client's not happy. I'm not happy with it, the standard of it. So I want to do it again. So it could be both.
Yeah. It's amazing how dream work helps us to understand that whatever's happening at one level in our life often reflects different levels of our life and our being, work, relationship, home, whatever, and they all have the same kind of thing going on. So that makes perfect sense. And as you said there, the thing at work isn't about the client not being happy, they're happy, it's about you not being happy. And in the dream, it's the same thing, or maybe, as you said, maybe second guessing myself. I want to impress because you're trying to impress in the dream. An area in my life where I want to impress and I'm second guessing myself and saying, this isn't impressive enough. It was, but no, I've got to take that. I've got to do it differently.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And you and I, and, many, many people listening in will relate to that because it's that idea of when is a job finished?
Yeah. Yes.
Is it good enough
when are we
now?
done?
Yeah,
is it good enough now?
That's right.
And that was what I ended up doing with the book is just I just have to stop fiddling with it. Yeah. And I just have to trust now.
Yes.
And get it done.
Yes.
So, yeah. So, I mean, it's quite vulnerable, isn't it? Putting it out there.
Oh, yes. I mean, some people seem to think that it's not, but there are hardly any people that fall into that category because also you've done something that you really love. And it's very precious, and in your case, we will talk about your book a lot more later, but it's very personal to you and to your daughter. Yes. And so putting it out there is there must be a huge fear of being judged for it as well.
Oh, huge, because, and then, with the self-doubt and the second guessing, it's like, well, I'm, who do you think you are? Comes into the back of my head.
Yeah.
Who do you think you are writing a book? Yeah. So there's all of that obviously going on. Yeah,
I love therefore at the end of the dream that both you and she go, it doesn't really matter, can't be bothered. Yeah. So it's fine as it is. That was it, wasn't it? You said, I wrote down the word permanent. You must have said the word permanent when you were talking about that. You said, it's permanent now. There's nothing I can do about it now. It's done.
Yeah, it was like, well, that's a bit of a shame, but oh well.
Yeah.
It's like, and I can feel myself and see myself in the dream kind of like doing that physical shrug of, oh, well.
Yeah, that's really good.
And just letting that anxiety that was creeping in, kind of letting that go.
Yeah.
So in my waking life, I think I'm still trying to do that.
So that's lovely that, that you can do something in your dream, which is shrugging off and letting go, and you can notice that in your waking life, you're still trying to do that. So therefore you can borrow that imagery and feeling from the dream while you're awake. So if you can sort of remember that feeling at the end of the dream as, the sort of physical shrug off of you can even have the puzzle over you, that physical shrug off and and even have the friend go, oh, well, and keep visualizing that and feeling it in your body during the day, because your unconscious mind is already there, but your conscious mind hasn't caught up with it. So if you can practice that feeling during the day quite a lot for maybe a week. Oh, it doesn't matter, it's okay. Then gradually you'll become more conscious of it and able to do that and able to let go. And for all this to come up in the lead up to Christmas, I know this episode's actually going out on Christmas Day, but we're recording this in the middle of November. So it is like, really one of the big build up times. So if you can get into that letting go feeling now, not only for the book, but all the stuff that you listed that comes up towards Christmas, that would be a good, time to experiment with that. And also, I think, Ryn, the lovely thing is the idea of letting some of that warmth into your life. And, it doesn't have to be the whole lot. It doesn't have to be a whole lot of stuff. Just a little bit here and there. Blankets. No crochet blankets allowed. Don't have the crochet blanket, but maybe one of the colours that you liked in the dream. Or pick a colour that's warm, or buy or make a very, very small, tidy little thing that's got the warmth and the colour and the invitation in it, and put it somewhere or wear it and have that feeling, and just say to yourself, I'm inviting, only a little bit, but I'm inviting some sense of a warm hug into my life. And I'm not worried about all the stuff that might come with that, because I'm only just bringing I'm testing it, I'm just bringing a little bit in.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And I know exactly where that's coming from.
That's great.
Yeah, yes. I've pared back quite a lot, even in the last 12 months, even more so than I ever have. I've just had these massive throwouts. And but there are times where I think, okay, I've perhaps gone a little too hard in that area. So
it's really good in any area of your life. Sometimes I think the only way forward to something new is to over-pare back first. So you consider everything, whether it's a material thing or an emotional thing or whatever it is, you look at and consider everything. Do I want this? Do I not want it? Can I pare it back? And yet all that letting go in order to then say, okay, now what do I want to let in? And I think that's probably where you're at now. And I don't want to ask you for details, because we know loads of people are listening in. But if you know what this is about, have you got any other questions about the dream?
I don't think so. I think I've had some real aha moments talking to you about it. I think there was, obviously I work with a lot of beef, so I knew that there was going to be some kind of connection there, but it's really quite enlightening. And aha moments. You've nailed many, many, many things.
That's great.
Yeah.
There may, even though beef is, definitely a symbol from your work, there may also be a bit of a pun there about having a beef about something, what you've got a beef about. But no, that's really good. So what would be the one thing that's at the top of your mind now that you really take away most from what we've talked about your dream?
Letting in the warm hug, I think. Yes, letting in the warm hug. I'll have to ponder everything I think that you've said, because I'm sure that it will start to unravel potentially other connections that I haven't thought of, even sitting here, that when this is over and I go away and think about it more, there'll be like probably lots of little aha moments triggered from it.
There definitely will, because that's where you bring the unconsciousness of the dream into conscious conversation. That's how it happens. You kind of like open the little trapdoor and it all comes out and points itself out to you. And so the only other thing I might suggest is each night as you go to bed to maybe say to yourself, okay, where did I let in just one little warm hug today? Again, nothing big. And each night as you go to bed between now and Christmas, see if you can find one little bit of a warm hug that you let in, and then give yourself full kudos for that.
Okay, challenge accepted.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you for sharing. So, given the sort of reference to the beef at the end, we want to go into your book massively, but can we start with, your position as a creative director?
Yes.
And, shaping stories about food brands for nearly 20 years. How did you get into that?
Oh, gosh, it was a very long-winded, windy road as to how I landed where I am. And it's all to do with work roles that I've had that really started off working in hospitality. and all the way through to working up to marketing and PR for hospitality establishments, and then working in group training establishments. And then when I moved to Brisbane for the second time in 2004, I was employed with a food magazine. And so I started working with the food magazine. Then I became the editor of the food magazine. And the food magazine also had a creative agency attached to it. And then I became one of the creative directors of that of that business. And so very windy road, but always food focused. And then after working in for somebody else doing that, then it was time to branch out and do it myself. And I have a wonderful business partner, and we basically held hands and jumped and did it nearly 20 years ago. And we've been doing it nonstop ever since. So
that's really fantastic. And a lot of that work, even though the subject chose you in a way, you chose
it did. You're
creative
right.
directorship of food chose you. Yeah.
Yes.
But still, you're doing branding stories. You have essentially been telling stories for all this time, using words, using senses. How do you, what do you engage in your creative styling and branding? What do you engage to get the story across to your audience? Let's call them your audience.
It's really every touch point. And we start with, we may start actually even creating the name of the brand for the client, or we may not. They may come to us with an existing name. And then it's really about creating the story. I like to create the story first before we go into any visuals, because what is it that's going to connect the consumer to these products? And whether that's a consumer for a retail product that's being sold in Coles or Woolworths, or a food service consumer, consumer chef, etc., who's going to purchase this product to then cook and place on his menu, or her menu. So it really starts with the story and how that's going to connect to that audience, and what we can wrap around the product to tell that. And then that becomes the visual story, the written story, the way everything is spoken about and seen and moves. And, from the packaging, the food styling, the photography, the web, the socials, everything. It's like, I was just about to say, it's like a big jigsaw.
A jigsaw puzzle, there you go.
There you go. It's like a big jigsaw. And it is. It's every single little thing that we put together to create a perception of and a story of what this product is and what it stands for the consumer, and why they should purchase it. And that really comes down to the why versus the information about the product. Because, 9 times out of 10, we're working with exactly the same products across, different clients, same product, same spec, particularly working in beef, because, there's, we may do a lot of Wagyu products or brands, but they're all the same spec. So how do we make each of those stand out from the next?
Yes.
In an Australian and an international market. So yeah.
Brilliant. And I wasn't going to reference your dream again, but because you did, we have to go, yeah, that's so true. And maybe one of the reasons why the puzzle at the end of the dream became the beef carpaccio puzzle was because it was saying to you in your dream, your unconscious mind was saying, look, beyond the story, you've got all these bits that have to click together, everything you mentioned there, the marketing, the sell, everything, the whole thing, the whole big picture. You have to put all of this for your book and for other areas of your life as well. So,
yes.
I absolutely love that. It's interesting that you start with the story first, and you together with the client, you make up the story, but essentially the story comes from you and your vision, presumably.
Yes, 9 times out of 10. It's the client really relies on us quite heavily for that. Yes.
So when you did write your first book, which we will come to, you probably didn't realise till you put pen to paper that you've actually been storytelling and making up stories all this time.
I hadn't made the connection, but it really is quite obvious now when I reflect that's exactly what I've been doing for 20 years.
Yes, yeah.
So yes, in a very different package, of course, but yes. So stories are always first when I'm branding.
It's interesting. It is a very different package, but it is also a picture book. It's got words, but it's also got pictures. So you are also illustrating it. You have illustrated it, just as with your branding work with your clients. You illustrate with your photography, with colour, with texture. So we've got that there.
Yes. Well, I think, as everyone knows, visuals are so vitally important that they tell the story in and of themselves within, minute seconds.
Yes.
And they are crucial, absolutely
Yes.
crucial to the whole package. Yeah.
That's why people often enjoy movies more than reading the book.
Yes.
Speaking as an author, I'm on the wrong side of the line here.
Me too.
You've got pictures. So the thing that, your book is called It's Not Because of Me, was prompted by your daughter Lucy. But would you like to start with telling us a little bit about your parenting journey to sort of set the scene?
Sure. So I had Lucy later in life. I was 40, and her dad and I were together but not married. And unfortunately, we separated when she was only 5 months old. So it was quite a traumatic few years for me. And it's hard to know. I'm sure babies definitely feel things. There's no way that they can't, I think. But so it was really quite a challenging few years and finding our feet. But I always thought that because she was so young when we separated, that it would be second nature to her. She wouldn't ask any questions because, well, it's always been her life. So why would she be confused, or why would she think anything different to what she's always experienced? But it wasn't until she was about 4 years old, and this really hit me like a ton of bricks. We're standing in the kitchen, and she looked up at me, and she was just out of nowhere, tiny, looked up at me and said, "Mummy, is it because of me?" Oh gosh, I'm getting emotional.
Yeah, yeah, me too.
Yeah. Is it because of me that you and Daddy separated or are no longer together? I think her words were. And it just hit me so hard, because how had I missed that? Why wasn't I prepared for it? And it just, well, why did she think that? How long has she been thinking that? And how long has she been carrying this around for, this heavy sense of it being her fault, without verbalizing it? And so I struggled in that moment to kind of grappling with how to explain to her this big concept to a 4-year-old that it had absolutely nothing to do with her. And it was at that moment that I realised, okay, I've missed this. Parent guilt was at its maximum. And so I thought, I actually started that night writing a little story just for her, to help her understand, and also to help me find the words, because I was flailing to find the right thing to say. And I started putting it together, and it took me about a week, and then I was reading it to her. Obviously, it was just words at that point, no pictures. But I could see this sense of understanding cross over her face, and her little shoulders would relax, and she would say, "Oh, so it's not because of me. It's not because when I was cranky that day. It's not because I did this, or it's not because I didn't eat my veggies on my plate the other night." And from all the questions that she asked and all the things that we spoke about, the rest of the book was really born out of that experience. And it is my firsthand experience with real questions that she's asked. There's a little bit more fun in the book injected. But yeah, so that's where it started. And I really didn't think that I was going to be writing this and releasing it for everybody else. But it got to a point where I realised that it's kind of probably bigger than this, because if she had found so much, I guess, safety and love in the book, then there are, be thousands of children out there who would need to hear the same thing, but also thousands of parents who are probably searching for the right words as well. So it took a few years. Like, this is years later. She's turning 10 next week. So this was 6 years ago. So it's been 6 years of thinking about putting this out to the world.
Wow, so, no wonder you're anticipating, how it's going to go, because it's only been out for a few weeks by the time we're talking together. But given the length of time that went in before it, that's amazing. I hadn't realised it was such a long lead up.
Yeah, well, I think it was probably only the last 5 months that it was a hard push to do it. But the rest have been kind of thinking about it, tinkering with it, revisiting it, putting it away for 6 months, bringing it back out.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's really lovely the way that, as you mentioned there, it's not, well, I forget which words you actually use, Ryn, but you're basically saying it's not just sort of a straight read, it's actually got some fun in it. And it has got a lot of fun, and partly because you, even though it's based on Lucy's own questions and you're answering them, you're bringing a bit of fun and laughter into that, and most essentially you've done it as it's a rhyming book, and of course children love rhymes, and adults love to read out rhyming books as well. So it adds that extra. The rhyming takes it away slightly from everyday life, but actually delivers more. A bit like the way that you create your brand stories for your clients, and a bit like dreams, really. It's taking a dream is taking the story. It's like a dream will make up a story about a beef puzzle instead of actually saying, well, this is about this area of your life. Well, that would be a really boring dream. But the dream puzzle and the beef puzzle, I can relate to that. And that has emotion, it has feeling, it connects with some way. And so the same way, I think a rhyming storybook for young children has that connection too. They do relate to it. They do understand the words, but there's something deeper appealing to them as well. Would you say that was true?
Oh, I completely agree. And I think no matter how many times you can say to a child, it's not your fault, it's not until really you integrate the feeling, exactly what you said, and the relatability, and where the lights start to go on and they start to see the connection and really start to believe, and also join the dots between the character in the book's experience and their experience. Yes. And I think that's what's so powerful about storytelling. And particularly for children at this age, because the book's written for 3 to 7 year olds. So at that age, the cognitive development isn't at a point where reason is developed yet. So creating the feeling and sense of connection through storytelling, I think, is crucial to getting messaging across.
Absolutely, yeah. And you chose to represent the child, that you named her after your own child, Lucy, but as a lion. So you've got that other step away from it too. And all children love to read books and stories about animals. And so you've got that feeling of relating to the, poor little lion, rather than the little girl. We're all very bad at relating to ourselves and giving us, she needs a hug or whatever. But we'll give the hug to the dog or the cat or the lion. So that was really ingenious doing that. And of course, you also have very, very beautiful paintings in the book, pictures in the book. Who was your artist? Yes. How did you find her?
It was a beautiful artist out of Russia, and she was just so easy to work with. We worked very well together. So I would give her a very strong brief of what my vision was, and for each page, what I envisaged, the illustrations to be. And I chose her for her illustration style, which I just love. But sometimes she would come back and say, I think, what if we did this on this page? And so it was quite collaborative as well. And she had brilliant ideas. And I think she was just wonderful to work with. And I will work with her in the future again. I think there's more in the pipeline.
So there's more little Lucy books.
More little Lucy books to come. Yeah.
Well, have you actually started any of them? Have you got?
I have. I have one that's more about living in two separate homes. So it's they're probably the more common books that are out there for kids with parents navigating divorce. It's about living in two homes, but this has a slightly different approach to it. And it's still a rhyming book. It's still the same characters. It's still the same setting. So they will form a set. And another one that kids really struggle with is that sense of guilt when they're with one parent and not with the other. And am I allowed to have fun with one parent when I'm not with the other? And do I have to choose between parents? And so that one will deal more with that. So that one hasn't started yet, but the two homes as it started. I don't even have the title for it yet, Jane, but yes, it's definitely probably going to the illustrator, I would say, in a couple of months.
Oh, that's absolutely brilliant. Because I was going to say to you, is this going to take another 6 years for each book? Or?
I hope not. I hope not. I think now that I've done it and I've lifted the lid or ripped the Band-Aid off or whatever metaphor, I think I just want to keep going.
Yeah, and the topics that you mentioned there are so very, very, very needed. And as you said earlier, too, not only needed by the child, but needed by the parents as well, the messages to both. And I think that once you've got those two out there, I think the ideas will just keep on going. I remember once writing about a certain subject, and I had a list of 3 topics on a piece of paper, and I never got to write any of those topics because every time I went to my piece of paper to tell which one am I going to pick, I don't know, I've got another idea. So
yes, and yes,
they just come along.
You never know; it might be something entirely different to what I've just said just now. By the time it leaves my computer, but
much needed.
Yes.
You did a lot of ground research from a psychology background, and you particularly looked at magical thinking and self-blame. Would you like to talk about that?
Sure. For this particular book, and the question that she asked, is it because of me? I really wanted to know why she thought that, and so I started digging. And I came across this concept that psychologists call magical thinking. And it's a very normal stage of development for kids between that 3 and 7 years of age. And it really is a beautiful time of development because it's their belief that their thoughts, their wishes and their actions can directly influence the world around them. So even when there's no real connection at all, and potentially as adults we look at that and see it as irrational, for children it's their only way of making sense out of something. And so when they don't understand something, when something's confusing, they fill in the gaps themselves. And it's cause and effect that cognitively they haven't developed cause and effect, and so they're looking at the world entirely from their own perspective. So, and when something big happens, like a separation or a divorce, it's their natural assumption. Oh, is it because of me? It's something I've done because I can influence the world directly. So it's something I've done.
Yes, yeah.
And so it does serve a purpose, though. And the more I read, therapists talk about. It helps them change that uncertainty into certainty, even though it's completely wrong.
Yeah.
So because confusion is worse than gathering a sense of control. So when they've made sense of it, they feel in control of it. Even if it's wrong, that feels better than being confused.
Yeah. The puzzle pieces are put together.
Puzzle pieces. So, of course, that's at the cost, particularly with separation divorce, that's at the cost of blaming themselves. And think it's then, so, if I'd behaved better, mum and dad would still be together. If I hadn't done this, if I hadn't done that, what if I'd done this, yes, it's just, hearing it's not your fault, although it's wonderful to tell your kids all the time, it's not your fault. This is just something mummy and daddy have gone through. This is grown up stuff. This is, it doesn't gel with them yet because of that level of cognitive development, and which we were talking about earlier in terms of why storytelling does help.
Yes, that's right.
Because of that. So
So
yeah, so
in a
it's
sense,
really,
your books create a different magical thinking. They create a different
yes,
magic that gives a different picture the child is
yes,
happier with. And it's
yes.
really, it's really interesting that for parents to hear, I think, because probably most parents don't understand that explanation of where they act cognitively, the kids when they're small, and the idea of magical thinking. And so it helps to explain a lot, and you see it in a kind of comical aspect, how many kids don't walk along a paved road and don't stand on the cracks, because if I don't stand on the cracks, there's going to be something wonderful that's going to happen tomorrow.
Yes, so, yeah, and that's exactly it. That's magical thinking in action, and it's what makes them believe in Santa Claus, and
yes,
the wonder and the imagination of what's possible.
yes,
Which is beautiful, and
it is, and
it's. I was going to say it's something that we all kind of lose as we grow up, obviously, but we all think warmly and fondly of as being a child.
It's really lovely, and it's another what's the word I'm looking for? Another inspiration, I guess, for parents to not only read good stories to their children, all kinds of stories, but also to play with fantasy, to make up stories. So if you can see that your child has gone down a certain route with magical thinking and believes this, that, or the other, that rather than say, oh, you're wrong, that's not how life is, you can create a different magic, a different story that supplants the other one. Maybe.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And it's that overlap of imagination and emotion.
Yes.
It can change, unfortunately, some negative aspects of magical thinking into positive ones.
Yes. Well, you've certainly achieved it in your book. I really love it. It's really beautiful. Oh. And I know that, many, you said hundreds, or you said thousands, but it's probably a lot more than that. People can need that and will benefit from that. First of all, where can they get it?
It's available on Amazon internationally, and it's available in ebook, paperback, and hardcover as well. So 3 options there.
Good, that's great. I can see children enjoying all. I still really like hardbacks and paperbacks best of all.
Yes, me too. I have to admit I love the hardcover because it feels substantial.
It does,
and
yeah.
I think particularly with little hands that it's more robust as well.
Yeah.
Shall we say?
It's not just another thing on another screen either. It's got a life of its own. And you can touch it and feel the pages. So I will put the direct link in the show notes. And how else can people contact you?
So they can, I have a website, so it's rynmacdonald.com. And I also am on socials, Instagram mainly, but also Facebook. And coming soon, when I get the chance, is TikTok.
Oh, you're going to go into TikTok? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm very impressed.
I'm
impressed.
Watch this space. But mainly Instagram is probably where I'll be spending most of my socials time. So that will be filled with a lot of fun and funny and silly moments, but a lot of education and my own lived experience with being a single mum, and also parenting with Lucy's dad, and how we make that work seamlessly. And so there'll be a lot of education as well around my lived experience.
That's really great. And those links will also be in the show notes. And I know you've only just started the Instagram page for the book. I know you've got other stuff going, but some of the things you put on there do have that lovely balance of being funny and entertaining, and also educational. And given your background as a creative director, everyone listening can begin to imagine already why she wants to go on TikTok, because she's got all these ideas.
I do. The only thing is time.
Well, thank you for spending a lot of your precious time with me and with us today. And you've I don't know how many people listen to podcasts on Christmas Day, but we're giving them this gift on Christmas Day, and they probably unwrap it before the end of the year, and still have some money left over to go and buy your books.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate this, Jane. It's been a wonderful experience to be able to unravel, the dream, and obviously where I am at the moment, because it was only a 3-day-old dream, but also to the opportunity to talk about my book as well. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Thank you. It's a joy to hear you launch your book, because I do believe this is the first podcast that you've been on to launch the book, and so
yes.
I'm really pleased that I've managed to host that for you.
Yes, you absolutely are. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, there we go. I don't know whether you are listening to this on the day of its release, which is Christmas Day in Australia, and maybe the rest of the world, well, the US and the UK, it might be Christmas Eve, or you might be listening after Christmas. But I think there are probably many things in that conversation there that you can all relate to, having just been through or being in the middle of the very busy Christmas season. And I hope that you've got some energy and some resources left to go and have a look at Ryn's book, because it really is quite a delight and very, very helpful to so many people, both children and parents. You can contact Ryn through her website, which is rynmacdonald.com. That's RYN for Ryn, all one word, rynmacdonald.com. On Instagram, she's at ryn.macdonald.author. And on Facebook, she's at Ryn MacDonald, author, all one word. So to make it all easy, just go to the show notes and those links are there for you. And you can buy her book, It's Not Because of Me, which is available in paperback, hardcover and ebook on Amazon. And again, there's a nice, easy, direct link in the show notes if you go there. Thank you, as always, to Ewan Gray for sound editing and composing our beautiful theme music. And to make sure you don't miss any of our future episodes, please hit the follow button at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you normally listen on my website, that's great. But please also pop over to Apple or Spotify, search for the show, search for The Dream Show with Jane Teresa Anderson, and hit follow there, because your follow helps more people discover the show in the first place. And thank you for listening to yet another episode of The Dream Show. You can find out more about my services, books and courses at janeteresa.com. That's Teresa without an H. Have a beautiful day. I'm Jane Teresa Anderson.